Welcome to AUDL Weekly. It's another episode here of the program dedicated to ultimate stories, perspectives, conversations, and more. My name's Evan Lepler, and tonight on the show, the head coach of the 2-0 Austin Soul, Stephen Naji, is my guest for Coach's Corner. Later on, Adam and Daniel will be here for another spirited disc debate. And then Matt Smith has his new Atlanta Hustle teammate, Bradley Seuntjens, as his guest for a brand new Upline and Out of Bounds. But first, an exciting week 3 in the books, and it's a great day for a little toss. You are watching AUDL Weekly on AUDL.tv, so stick around. All right, welcome back. 10 games across the AUDL this past weekend, including a pair that were decided by just one goal. But I really think the top headline from week 3 was the Salt Lake Shred again. Not only did they win their home opener in front of approximately 2,100 fans, but they thoroughly dismantled the Seattle Cascades in a 32-21 rout. Salt Lake mighty impressive again, and the Shred now 3-0, setting up a huge showdown against the 2-0 Colorado Summit. Both those teams are off this weekend, so that matchup between the Shred and the Summit, they'll go head-to-head for the first time ever in Denver a week from Saturday on May 28th. Meanwhile, the week began this past weekend with high drama in Philadelphia. Tied in the closing seconds of regulation, Antoine Rousseau to Christophe Tremblay-Jonca, giving Montreal the walk-off buzzer-beating victory 18-17. Royale improved to 3-0, while the Phoenix just narrowly dipped to 0-3. Philly's 3 losses coming by a total of 4 goals. Heartbreaker for the Phoenix. Royale get the huge win, although Montreal's undefeated bubble burst about 24 hours later when DC popped the Royale 27-17. First victory of the year for the Breeze. Elsewhere, wild comeback in Indianapolis. AlleyCats led by as many as 5 before Madison battled back and earned the 24-23 road win. Huge confidence builder for the Radicals for sure as they move to 2-0. Also moving to 2-0 this week, the Austin Soul, who defeated Dallas for the second straight time. 24-17 the final tally on Friday night for the Soul as they prepare to embark on a tough week 4 doubleheader trip to Carolina and Atlanta. And we'll be talking about that a little bit more in just a bit. As for Austin's lone opponent so far this season, Dallas, now 0-3 after losing Friday in Austin, and also at home on Saturday against Minnesota. 20-14 was the win for the Wind Chill in this rare interdivisional matchup. First win of the year for Minnesota. Their next game is at Madison. That's a week from Saturday in the Week 5 FS2 Game of the Week. Other games from this past weekend include the New York Empire outlasting the Boston Glory 23-19. The Toronto Rush picking up their first win of the season by taking care of Ottawa in a high-scoring showdown 29-26. The Rush over the Outlaws. Carolina is now 3-0 after their 24-18 win against Tampa Bay. And San Diego won its second straight 22-17 over rival Los Angeles. San Diego with a chance to make it 3-0. 3 in a row, I should say, and improve to 3-1 on the year this weekend when they host Seattle. All right, that's your Week 3 rundown. For more details about all the action as well as player perspective about everything, check out the written version of the Tuesday Toss every week on the AUDL.com. Coming up after the break, Austin Soul head coach Stephen Naji, as we're just getting rolling here on AUDL Weekly. It's great to be joined by the head coach of the Austin Soul, Stephen Naji. Coach Naji, welcome to the program. Great to have you here. How you feeling?
Hey there, Evan. Thanks for having me. Things are good here in Austin, Texas. We're sitting at 2-0. We're hoping to be 2-0 heading into our first big road trip. So no complaints here.
Big road trip coming up this weekend to Carolina and to Atlanta for the Fox Sports Game of the Week. We'll talk about what's ahead shortly. But first, you're 2-0 with 2 wins over the Dallas Legion. What has been the thing that has pleased you the most about your team's effort and performance in the first 2 games?
Well, I think we have an understanding around the whole team that our best performance is still in front of us. We have a lot of room for improvement. Yes, we have 2 wins, but our best game has not been played yet. Our guys are really hungry, and we have a lot of buy-in. And the Texas Ultimate scene's been an interesting one. Playing Dallas 4 or 5 times a year, we all know each other on both teams. And this year is kind of the first time since I've lived in Texas, 2017, that the home city has all the players playing for their team now. Dallas reflects more of a Dallas team. Austin reflects more of an Austin team. And we have a deep, deep program here in Austin, and we're starting to see the results. I'm really excited to be put to the test this coming weekend.
Yeah, well, it's funny because obviously Dallas has been the team that has brought in all the big talent, both from Austin and from Denver and Arkansas and Missouri and all over the country, really. But there's a different tone and tenor in Dallas. And watching the game, it's not like they're a terrible team by any means. They were competitive with you. They were back and forth. They actually had the first break of the game this past Friday night. They took a lead in the first quarter before you guys responded. And then in the second quarter, you guys went on a 6-1 run to kind of break it open. What were the keys to seizing control in this second matchup against the Legion?
Well, first off, I want to point out that Dallas didn't necessarily have their top roster. While they had a very good roster and a very athletic roster, some of their top guys were being saved for their Saturday night matchup of their doubleheader with Minnesota. So we understand they didn't go full force against us. Knowing that, we wanted to control the tempo. We wanted to push the tempo. We wanted to run. A high-scoring game is an advantage for the Austin Soul. If you look at the score after the first quarter, I believe it was 7-7, and then we won the second quarter easily, the third quarter easily, and then traded points and won the fourth quarter by 1 point. Now, looking back at game 1, we actually lost 2 of the 4 quarters. But again, we had a breakout quarter because of the preseason fitness work that we've been putting in. Looking at our first doubleheader, I think that's really going to be put to the test with the big athletes that Carolina and Atlanta both have.
Yeah, it's going to be fun matchups this weekend. Jake Radak is a guy who I've been impressed with the last couple games for you. I mean, this past Friday night, he had almost 600 yards total, more than 200 yards beyond anyone else on the team. What has stood out to you with Jake's kind of ascendance so far in 2022?
Little known fact about Jake was he was voted the best teammate of our team in 2021. He had moved here prior to the pandemic, joined the team, and then had a really unfortunate injury just prior to the season starting. It was brutal, it was gruesome, and it would have been really easy for somebody to lose buy-in. But Jake Radak consistently showed up to every possible team event that we had and was the heartbeat of everything that we do. And while he wasn't able to perform on the field last year, he was as strong of a teammate as anybody in our program last year. Leading into 2022, he was an easy choice for captain. And since our preseason started and we have a couple games under our belt, I mean, he's QB1. Everything flows through him. When he's on, we have a high chance of success. And he's a fun guy to be around. It's contagious, the energy and confidence he brings to our squad.
Are you surprised at all about how he's performed on the field after missing virtually all last year?
You know what? I don't think I'm too surprised, but I would say we are playing a little bit smaller ball than I anticipated having him with us. 2021, our reputation was small ball, mainly because Jake Radak got injured before the season started, and that was our shooter. Going into this year, we have a couple shooters. Notably, we bring in Mark Evans as well from Australia, and we have guys that can huck it now, and it's a big weapon in addition to what we had last year. I'm not surprised whatsoever with Jake. I expect him to play with the best, and he's going to be leading us against the best.
Yeah, Mark was another guy. I'm glad you brought him up because I wanted to ask you about Mark. I remember watching him in college and with his Australia teams, and obviously he's played for a variety of teams here in the U.S. What has he brought to the team in his first year with the Soul?
Mark Evans brings a very unique perspective to the sport of Ultimate because his experience is so much different than any person here in Texas. Getting to play on the international circuit for almost a decade, getting to beat top American club teams and compete for a world championship. He played at UNC Wilmington. He has a very unique perspective, and he's brought a lot of humility, a great work ethic, and confidence. We're a very young squad, and so to have another savvy veteran move to Austin and really enhance our team culture, he's bought into everything, and he's been a leader from day one, and I couldn't be more thankful to have the guy around.
Good stuff. Well, Friday night, we get the two remaining undefeated teams in the AUDL South Division, the Soul and the Flyers. It'll be the first time that you have faced the Flyers since becoming head coach. You were in the West Division last year in your first season at the helm of the Soul. It's hard not to be impressed when you watch the Flyers on film with virtually everything they do. What impresses you most about the Flyers, and how do you feel your team is capable of attacking them and preventing them from excelling at what they do?
The thing about the Flyers that stands out the most to me is how much of a well-rounded team they are. They take care of possession better than any team in AUDL history. If you look at the stats last year, I think they had 20 or less turns in every single game. They were one of two teams to do that. If you don't turn over the disc, it's hard to lose. Yes, they lost 4 times last year. They lost 4 times by 1 point. It's really hard to lose when you're not turning over the disc. They believe in each other. They've bought into everything that's occurring in the Triangle Ultimate system, and they're good people. They're good role models. Going into how we want to attack them, we're really athletic here in Austin. We've been training really hard, and I want to break that streak. I think we can get more than 20 turns. Watching championship weekend last year, I felt we were equal caliber athletes to the teams competing in the championship. Maybe we were a little bit less experienced, but this season we're going to get that big game experience, and it starts this weekend.
How do you get your team mentally ready for the grueling back-to-back of the nature of this weekend? I mean, you've talked about how you've been training really hard and you're physically ready, and I believe that you are, but the mental battle to face Carolina for 4 quarters and then a really well-coached and crafty Atlanta team for 4 quarters, 24 hours later, that is as tough of a doubleheader, except perhaps from the past year's Austin-Dallas doubleheaders that we've seen in this league.
The key to surviving a doubleheader is preparation, and we go into every weekend trying to be the most prepared team, whether that's a single game format or a double game format. We understand some of the tactics that Atlanta and Carolina tend to push on other teams. Atlanta is a very zone-heavy team. Carolina is a very conservative team with a lot of handler pressure. You know, I don't know how we're going to fare until we actually go up against them, but going into a doubleheader weekend, last year was kind of a learning curve. We went over on our doubleheader weekends. We could not win on that second day. And so I think as a group, we learned, how do we take care of our bodies? What adjustments do we make day to day? Just simple things as getting to the airport slightly earlier. How do we get in the van slightly earlier? Timing of your meal, your hydration, and just, team self-care. It's a pretty fun challenge to go up against the best, together at the very beginning of the season, because that is a good benchmark to see what adjustments we need to make entering the halfway point and the later part of the season.
That's well said, and we've talked about before, and I've talked about a bunch, that the Soul have as difficult a schedule as anyone has ever had in the AUDL. Not only do you have this doubleheader, but you have the interdivisional showdown with Chicago and Madison a few weeks from now. For our viewers here, how have you talked to your team about the daunting nature of the schedule, and why do you believe that your Austin Soul are well equipped to handle it?
Well, we expect to compete for a championship. We're not just out here playing for fun. And to compete for a championship, specifically this year in our division, us, Carolina or Atlanta, is not going to make the playoffs. One of us not going to make it. And one of us is going to make it to championship weekend. Why not us? Looking at our opponents in the Midwest, we have a couple undefeated teams that we still get to face in Chicago and Madison. Chicago, I think, physically matches up very well to what our lineup is. And then playing in Breeze Stevens in front of a couple thousand people under the lights on a Saturday night game of the week, it's hard not to get excited and pumped up for that style of matchup. We have nothing to lose. I think we can go into every single matchup confident. I mean, the goal this weekend is 1-0 twice. Individual games, and no matter what happens, let's reset the next night. And we'll tell our guys that after every single match this entire season.
Coach Naji, great stuff. I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you in North Carolina this Friday night. Thanks for the time today. Best of luck this weekend.
Hey, thank you, Evan. Thanks for having me.
Yep, of course. That's head coach Steven Naji in his second year leading the Austin Soul. The 2-0 Soul are at Carolina on Friday and then at Atlanta on Saturday. We'll talk a little bit more about the Soul with Adam and Daniel coming up next here on AUDL Weekly. Back on AUDL Weekly, and I am thrilled to welcome back in the finest hair in all of the AUDL, Adam Ruffner and Daniel Cohen, both looking fresh as usual. Gentlemen, welcome. Thanks for being here. And let's jump into over-under. We just chatted with head coach Steven Naji, the Austin Soul. So, Adam, I'll ask you, how good are the Soul? Over-under 0.5 wins for the Soul during their upcoming Week 4 doubleheader road trip to Carolina and Atlanta.
You know, we've talked a lot about the gauntlet road schedule that Austin will have to endure over the next month or so of play. And it starts this upcoming weekend. And for as tough as their opponents are, I'm going to take the over on this one. I have a lot of faith in this Austin team in 2022. I think the presence of Jake Radak in their offensive backfield makes such a difference for them. He is a disc distributor unlike they've had in the past. The return of Kyle Henke has him looking like an MVP player for them in this Soul system and in their offense. I just like where the Soul are at right now. They're playing crisp. Even when they make mistakes, they kind of rally and I think return to form quickly. They're not so run and gun as the 2021 Soul. They have a bit more confidence and I think stable footing in what they like to do. They've got good pieces on offense and defense. I just think they have the shot this weekend to get a 1-1 split at least, if not maybe the impossible, and go 2-0 on the road.
Oh, it's been the theme of the season so far, 2-0 road trips. Daniel, what do you think?
It's been the spicy thing.
I don't think they're going to go 2-0, but I am going to agree. I'm going to take the over on 0.5. I think they get a win. I'm going to even make the prediction that they beat Carolina in game 1. I think Carolina is going to be a little short-handed. They're going to be missing Eric Taylor, Henry Fisher. I think the Soul, I wasn't quite sold on the Soul after their first game, but seeing the improvements they made in the second game against Dallas, beating them by 7 goals as opposed to just 3 in the first game. Their D-line break percentage went way up. They were a lot more efficient with guys like Matt Armour and Jake Reinhardt leading the counterattack. Eric Broadbeck is a fantastic move to the D-line with how much talent they have on offense. And like Kyle Henke has been the perfect fit for this team. So I think they've got some momentum going. I think they're going to keep things rolling.
All right, both of you expecting Austin to avoid a winless weekend. We'll see if they can do it. Let's move on to topic number 2. Exciting development north of the border, as it's expected that Montreal will have the season debuts of their duo of Frenchmen, Quentin Bonneau and Sasha Poit-Sokolski. So Daniel, over under 10.5 combined goals for Bonneau and Poit-Sokolski in their Friday night game against Philly as they make their debuts for 2022 this weekend.
First of all, this is breaking news to me. I had no idea if these guys were going to play at all this season. I am overjoyed to hear that they'll be back on the field this weekend. I got to take the over. I mean, I'm all in on the hype of these guys. Last time they played against Philly, get this, they scored 18 combined goals of the team's 21 goals on the day. So they scored, I think Bonneau had 10, SPS had 8. They are kind of like set in stone as the goal scorers in this offense. And yeah, it's a slightly different group than what we last saw in 2019. But I think they've been missing like a key go-to goal scorer, and whether that's Bonneau or SPS in this first game, I think the offense is going to be in good hands with both these guys. So I'm just excited to see them back on the field.
Adam, are you as confident of their smooth integration back into the Montreal lineup?
I have no doubt as to SPS and Bonneau's talent and their eventual integration, but I think going into playing this Philly team is going to be a little bit of an adjustment period for them. Philly has been playing really well defensively the past couple of weeks. After they're giving up 25 in week 1 to Boston, they've limited the past 2 opponents to under 20. I think that they're playing well in deep space, which is something that Montreal likes to attack. Philly has good, big, deep defenders, and they prevent the huck well. They did that against New York, and they did against Montreal this past week, despite losing to them on a end of regulation buzzer beater to Christophe Tremblay-Joncas. I think I'm going to take the slight under here and then go with 10 goals. I could easily see them each scoring 5 apiece, which is still a remarkable clip compared to anyone else in the AUDL. I just think we have outsized expectations for the Baguette Bros. Do we have a nickname for them? We need a nickname.
Is that being coined right now? The Baguette Bros?
I'm throwing it out there.
Well, we can workshop.
It's not bad.
Some more.
I don't know if they'll be offended, but it's not bad. All right. Looking forward to see them on Friday night.
You're just
Philly.
scoring all the time.
I know. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it.
There's something to it. You guys can workshop some others, but the Baguette Bros is pretty good. Let's move on. Topic number 3. We're going to stay at the same number, 10.5, but this time it's 10.5 total scores, goals plus assists, for Portland's Leandro Marks in his first ever AUDL road game. He's at Oakland this Saturday. Over under 10.5 total scores for Leandro Marks. Adam, we'll start with you.
I think this might be the easiest question in this week's series. I'm going to take the easy over. Marks had, I think, 13 scores in the exhibition against Oakland. He's just built for this AUDL field. And much like Jordan Kerr in Salt Lake or Ryan Osgar in New York, this Portland offense is built for Marks to be its facilitator and kind of its ignition driver. Everything that they like to do sort of facilitates off of Marks, and I just see him being one of those entities, especially in the West where defense is at such a premium. It's going to be a challenge to keep him out of double-digit scoring numbers every single week.
Daniel, what do you think?
So I don't know what it is about Providence Park, which is where Portland plays, but for whatever reason, guys are just totaling so many yards, so many scores are happening in that park. It's almost like an Indy-like environment that I just expect all the offenses to go off, no matter how much defense there seems to be. I'm gonna take the under. I want to see what Portland looks like on the road. I feel like there's something about that Providence Park turf, or maybe it's the home crowd environment that just amps up this Portland team.
Not the Nitro.
San Diego.
Not Jack Hatchett and Rafi Hayes and Leandro Marks and Daniel Lee. It's the stadium. It's the turf.
I don't know. I'm still like trying to figure out what exactly it is. But I'm excited to see them on the road for the first time. I mean, we just saw San Diego go to Oakland last week, and they only put up 18 goals. They won 18-16. Kind of a windy, not great condition game. Maybe the conditions are just too perfect in Portland all the time. I'm curious to see how they do in a road environment, in a new stadium. I don't know. Something tells me he's due for some regression also. 10 seems high, but I give him like 6 to 8 scores. Feels totally realistic.
For the record, he is averaging exactly 10.5 scores per game through his first 2. And that is tied for the second most in the league. Only Jordan Kerr, who's averaging 10 2/3 scores per game through his 3 games, has more than Marks, who's at 10.5. So I don't think it's obvious one way or another, but interesting to get a little disagreement. That's always good. We'll see how he fares in Oakland. Let's move on to topic number 4. We're staying out west for the final topic. He's currently number 1 in the league in total yards, and he's got a road doubleheader this weekend. So the 18-year-old phenom Declan Miller, over under 1,500 total yards in the Cascades Week 4 road trip to San Diego and LA. Daniel?
15, you really set a high mark here. You really went all out with this one. I'm going to keep riding the Declan Miller hype train, though. I'm going to take the over. Why not? Look, San Diego has allowed a 650 total yard scorer in each of the last 2 games. They let Jordan Kerr go off in week 1. They're kind of a middle-of-the-pack defense, but have been susceptible to some big, individual performances. LA, I could see Seattle scoring a lot of points against LA. And the biggest thing for me is that Declan Miller is just the clear-cut focal point, especially when Manny Eckert and Adam Simon are not playing in this offense. Maybe we see some more emerging Drew Swanson as a deep threat, another target for Declan downfield. I'm going to keep things going with Declan Miller. I think he will surpass the 1,500-yard mark this weekend.
Adam?
I think as impressive as Miller has been and as gaudy as his yardage numbers have been so far through 3 weeks of the season, he would trade almost every single one of them for 1 win. And I think that you're starting to see with some of these yardage totals a bit of a correlation to these outsized individual performances, not necessarily leading to team successes. In 2021, there was 1 player who averaged over 600 total yards per game, Nick Boucher. It's pretty much in limited time. Ottawa didn't fare too well. This season, there are 16 players averaging over 600 yards per game through the first 3 weeks of this season. Of those 16, 2 of them are on teams with winning records. I think that Miller's inflation of yardage is an indication of Seattle's lacking of their backfield primary throwers in the aforementioned Adam Simon and Manny Eckert. So I think that as Seattle continues to try to figure out ways that it can win with its roster, they're going to maybe depreciate a little bit of this crazy high volume load that Declan Miller has taken on. I'm going to take the slight under on 1,500, but I think it will come with more success in getting more people involved in that Seattle offense. I think that you've seen them go 0-3 so far because they're a little bit limited to Declan Miller and Drew Swanson and kind of 1 to 2 other guys at a time.
Fair enough. Declan Miller averaging 780 total yards per game through his first 3. But Adam, you're going under. Daniel, despite making the argument for under, I think you went over because you want to keep the hype train going, and I respect that. Gentlemen, thank you for your time as always. Look forward to listening to the next episode of Swing Pass. You can hear Adam and Daniel on the Swing Pass podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. That'll do it for Over Under, and now it's time for another Cohen's Cut.
What's up, AUDL fans? Daniel Cohen here with this week's Cohen's Cut. Today we're going to be looking at the Carolina Flyers handler defense and how playing help defense in the backfield can lead to turnovers. So the Flyers have a strong core of handler defenders that can all shut down their individual matchups. But their lives are made easier by the Flyers' system of playing help defense in the handler space. Using a combination of handler switches and poaches, this group excels at maintaining backfield pressure and forcing handlers into uncomfortable spots. In this sequence, we see Atlanta's John Stubbs with the disc on the far sideline. He looks off the first upline cut to Tanner Robinson, who's guarded by Elijah Long. As Robinson clears out of the backfield, watch how Long doesn't go with him. Instead, he lingers in the upline space, hoping to take away that space as a follow-up cut or get the block if the disc is forced there anyway. He's fine leaving Robinson because of that help defense mentality throughout the Flyers' D-line. He's got 3 defenders behind him that could all pick up Robinson if he were to suddenly cut deep or become an active threat. Now the next active cutter is Austin Taylor, who's guarded by Carolina's Eric Taylor. Eric tightens up his coverage when it's clear Austin is the only immediate option left in the backfield. Now because Eric trusts his teammates to help if Austin moves upfield, this allows him to commit hard to stopping the swing in the backfield, where he's basically on an island. So his coverage forces Austin to cut up line, into the same space that Robinson just tried. But Long is there waiting, and even his teammate Alex Davis has started coming off the front of the stack anticipating that upline throw. So now you have 2 help defenders closing in, while Eric Taylor committed to stopping the swing, so Atlanta is just completely trapped. Long runs through for the block, and because Davis also recognized the play, the counterattack is off running with a 3-on-1 advantage. 3 throws after he gets the block, Elijah Long catches the disc in the end zone for what would end up being the game-winning goal. Thanks for watching, and be sure to join me next time for another Cohen's Cut.
Alright, AUDL World, welcome to another episode of Upline and Out of Bounds. Today is a special episode because I am joined by a friend of the show and a teammate, Big Bad Bradley Seuntjens. How's it going, Brad?
It's going great, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm excited for the world to get to know you a little bit better, so we're going to hop right in to the introduction. So, first question for you, hometown.
My hometown's Ocala, Florida.
Oh, very cool. Current age.
I'm 29 years old.
Getting up there. Did you attend college? If so, what major or degree did you obtain?
Yeah, I've attended a couple universities, actually. My first one I attended was Armstrong State University in Savannah, Georgia. And then I transferred to University of Florida, which is why everyone thinks I'm really from Florida, but I'm not. And then I went back to Armstrong State University, which is now Georgia's Southern University. So I have a degree from there as well. But my graduate degree is in physical therapy.
Oh, all right. That leads right into our next question, which was day job. So are you working now as a physical therapist?
Yeah, I'm a physical therapist. I've been working for a couple of years in the Pooler, Georgia area.
Cool. All right, we're going to flip over to the ultimate side a little bit. So ultimate origin story.
Ultimate origin story. Okay, well, I met a new friend in college, and he actually started the club team at Armstrong State. And he saw me throwing like a backhand or something, just messing around at intramurals or something like that. And he said, "Man, you should come out and try it." Well, then I go out, and the head coach happens to be Tuba. So I'm like, all right, this guy's pretty sick. And actually, he was the very first person to show me how to throw a flick. So with him as head coach, and my friend convinced me to play, it kind of stuck with me after that.
Very cool. And reunited with Tuba once again this year.
Reunited.
All right. Current position on the field.
Well, I consider myself a little bit of a hybrid role. Some teams I play exclusively D-line. Lately, I've been playing a little bit more offense, but I would say offensive cutter is like my role currently.
You and me both out there. Love it. And last question here. I know you're an AUDL veteran. I know you got a lot to pick from. So, favorite AUDL moment so far?
Favorite AUDL moment? I can't really say I have like a favorite play off the top of my head. I've had a couple of good plays, I guess, come to mind, some good layout Ds, but I would say just those moments where I'm playing in a game that gives us an opportunity to get like into the playoffs or like the next stage, like that Jax Cannon's Raleigh game, like to make it to the Final Four early on in my career was like a really big highlight that I remember. Like even though we didn't make it, it still stuck out as like a really big moment in my mind, and those are the things I remember. So I would say something like that.
Very cool, and hope to get you a new favorite one this year, hopefully in the playoffs and championship weekend as well.
I think we're gonna do it, man. I'm excited.
Absolutely. All right, well, now that the audience knows you a little bit better, we're going to jump into today's game. And today's game is, a classic, simple, fill in the blanks. So the way it works, I got a sample sentence with a blank in it. I'm going to read it to you, and you tell me, fill in the blank, and give me a little explanation why. So, first one here, blank is the best player in the NBA right now.
In the NBA right now, I'm probably gonna say Kevin Durant. A little controversial. Some people are gonna say Giannis. I actually know a guy that made an entire template of his NBA rankings and exactly why 1 through 100 or something like that. He had Giannis and Kevin Durant 1A, 1B. But I'd say Kevin Durant. I mean, he's unstoppable. He's gonna shoot over anybody that guards him. So.
That's fair. I'm not going to fight you on it. I'm a KD hater, but we're just going to move right on. We're going to move right along here. So, second one here. My favorite disc golf course in the Southeast is blank.
Well, I'm not sure I've played enough of the top courses to really definitively say, but out of everything I've played so far, I'd probably say Ogeechee Crossing, which is a new course that opened up. But everyone I talked to said it's one of their top courses in Southeast Georgia. A little closer to like Augusta, Georgia area, kind of in the middle of nowhere. But I'd say that's my favorite one so far.
All right. I know a lot of disc golfers tune into the show, so check it out if you get the chance down there. All right, got 2 more here. Blank is my favorite victory meal. So one you eat after the game. What's your favorite victory meal?
Favorite victory meal? Oh my gosh. Man, I'd probably just say a default would just be like a good burger at a restaurant, honestly. Like, you just can't go wrong with it. It's consistent, no matter which restaurant you go to. It's all right. You know, it's never really bad. So I'd probably say a burger, something like that.
All right. Yeah, I like that. That's standard. And last one here. I've been obviously very stoked to have you on the Hustle, and I'm curious to hear your answer to this. So, the Atlanta Hustle have been more blank than I was expecting.
More blank? Oh man. Gosh, that's a tough one. Honestly, I gotta think about that for a second.
Yeah, you can take a sec. More. Yeah. What's been the vibe? What's stuck out to you?
More hype, I'd probably say. I think there's been a couple more people who have been added this year that bring some more excitement, some more energy, and I like that stuff. I like to show my passion and emotion on the field, so I'd say they're a little more hype than they have been in the past, and I love that.
Yeah, I would agree. I remember some of those battles, 2015 and around there. We weren't as hype, but with you and some others on there, we're bringing the energy this year, and I like it. All right. Well, I am out of questions, and we are out of time for the day. But unfortunately, or before we get out of here, any last shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, I would just give a shout-out to my current coaching staff. You know, I think so far they're putting us in the right positions, and I know that's like a hard position to be in, trying to figure out people coming from out of town and have been in the area for a while and making things gel and get where we need to be. But I give a big shout out to them. I know they're putting in the time and the effort to make it happen, and shout out to all my teammates putting in the work right now. I mean, we all see them, you see them too, just typing away, putting in the videos of all their workouts and stuff like that. So shout out to all my teammates right now.
All right. I love it. I love a chance to shout out the Atlanta Hustle on the show. So shout out the Hustle and our amazing coaching staff. Like I said, we got to get out of here, but I am looking forward to taking the field with you this upcoming Saturday to play the Austin Soul on Game of the Week. But for now, back to Evan.
All right, Matt, good stuff with Brad. Look forward to seeing you both in Atlanta this Saturday. I'll be alongside Ian Toner for the first time this season as Austin and Atlanta collide in our FS2 Game of the Week. But for now, that'll do it for the show tonight. My thanks as always to Adam Ruffner, Daniel Cohen, Stephen Naji, Matt Smith, and Bradley Seuntjens. Also, a huge thank you to our editor extraordinaire, Luke Johnson. My name's Evan Lepler. I thank you for checking out AUDL Weekly tonight. Enjoy the ultimate this weekend, and I'll talk to you right back here next Wednesday.